Hi guys, you're welcome back, okay, to our beginners class series. All right, so next on our outline is how to draft a basic skirt block. Okay, so um the measurements we're working with is our waist round, okay, then our waist to hip, then our waist to the desired skirt length. Okay, so for the waist to hip, you simply place your tape on your waist, okay, and you take it down to the fullest part of your hip. I showed us how to measure that on the mannequin. Okay, so let's proceed, and as usual, the first thing we need to do is to label our pattern. Okay, so this is going to be our back. Okay, this is going to be the back of the skirt block. Okay, and this is going to be the front skirt block. All right, so let's proceed. Now this is also the center front of the skirt, okay, and this is the center back of the skirt. All right, so I needed us to understand this before we proceed. Now, as usual, I'll be working with my measurements. So I'll be working with my measurements, and we're going to proceed with imputing the vertical measurements. Okay, so let's start with the back. Now this starting line automatically is our waist line. Okay, so from there to my hip length is 9 inches, so I'll make a mark there. And my knee length is 18 inches. Okay, then the desired skirt length that we're working with is 27 inches, and I have the margin already. So I repeat the same thing this side as well. Waist to hip 9, waist to knee 18, okay, and the desired length. Okay, so I'll go ahead and connect these measurements. Okay, now we will label. So this is my hip line. Okay, I'll call it okay, so let's call it in full. This is my hip line, and now this is my knee line. Okay, now this is the skirt length. Okay, for the back, I'm going to repeat the same markings on the front as well. Okay, so I'm going to simply extend the lines to the front. Waist to hip is 9, waist to knee is 18. Okay, so I'm simply going to connect these lines. Okay, so I have it marked out. All right, so let's proceed with the markings. Now I like to start with the front. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to mark our waist round. Remember, I told us that the starting point is automatically our waistline. Okay, so now my waist round is 36. So 36 divided by 4 is 9. Now I need you to note something. When you're making a skirt separate, you may need to take the measurement round where the person wears their skirt. Okay, some people wear their skirt a bit above their waistline, some wear it on their natural waistline. So based on preference, just take the measurement. I wear my skirt above my natural waistline, so that's why my waist for my skirt is the same thing with my waist for the blouse. Okay, so we'll take the measurement. Now we are placing your tape from the center front. Okay, so my waist over 4, my waist divided by 4 is 9 inches, so I'll go ahead and make a mark on my 9 inches. Okay, then we're also adding that to the skirt as well, so that's allowance of 1 inch. Okay, so here we have it, waist divided by 4, 9 inches, and my 1 inch, that allowance. Okay, so then we'll take our hip measurement. Now my hip is 44. Okay, so 44 divided by 4 is 11. Now we'll go ahead and make a mark on that 11 inches. Okay, so we'll connect it. So we're connecting the waist divided by 4 plus the 1 inch that allowance to the hip allowance here. Okay, and here we have it. Okay, for the front. Now let's move over to the back. So for the back of the skirt, you need to tighten the center back. Remember, this is the center back line. Now if you remember, when we were drafting our half scale and full scale block, we tightened the center back with 0.5 inch. Okay, so we need to do the same thing at the center back as well. So from here we will come in by the half inch or 0.5 inch as well, and we'll connect that to the hip line. Okay, now this is standard. This is what gives you that bum lift. Okay, so here we have it. Now let's proceed to mark our waist measurement. Now I'm going to place my tape after the 0.5 mark. Okay, remember my waist round is 9. Okay, 9 inches plus the 1 inch that allowance is 10. Okay, I have it there. Then we're also going to mark my hip round. My hip round is 44 divided by 4 is 11. So we'll go ahead and connect our waist to our hip. It's advisable you make use of straight lines because we are not that curvy. Okay, except you're really curvy before you go using curves. Okay, so this is it for the back. Now let's move over to the front again. Back to the front. Remember when we were taking our measurements, I told us that we don't need to take measurements of the around the knee. Okay, so how to do that is, if you're making a pencil skirt, okay, so we're going to be altering this skirt pattern. Okay, so this skirt block into, we're going to make 3 types of skirts. Okay, so the first skirt is a straight skirt. So if you want to make a straight skirt, okay, now whatever you have on your hip line, remember what we have here is 11 inches. I'll simply come to the full length of the skirt and I will mark my 11 inches here. Okay, and I'll come in with my ruler. Okay, and I'll connect it. Sorry, I need to mark the 11 inches also on the knee line. Okay, so if it's a straight skirt, I'll come in with my ruler like so. Okay, and I will connect it. I'm making the lines faint because that's not the skirt that we are actually making. So if it's a straight skirt, this is a straight skirt. The line, the hip round is going to run from the hip line to the full length of to the skirt hem. Okay, which is the full length of the skirt. All right, so this is a straight skirt. Then if you're going to be making an A-line skirt, now from this the hem of the skirt, you will come out by 3 inches. Okay, so you come out by 3 inches here and you extend it from the hip mark to the 3 inches. That's the standard measurement for an A-line skirt. Okay, now you can make it wider if you want, but this is the standard measurement for A-line skirt. Okay, but the main skirt that we're going to be drafting will also cut and sew is a pencil skirt, which is my favorite. All right, so I'll just go ahead and clean this. Okay, so now you know how to make now you know how to draft an A-line skirt. Okay, so for a pencil skirt, you're going to measure what you have on the knee line, which is 11 inches. Now we're going to subtract 2 inches. Now this depends on how fitted you want it around the knee. Okay, if you don't want it that fitted, you can subtract 1.5 inches. Okay, you can also subtract 2.5 inches. All right, now if you want it tight, I mean emphasis on the tightness, you can go 3 inches, but I will not advise that. I haven't even tried that myself. All right, so we can do we can subtract 2 inches, okay, from the knee length, okay, or 1.5 from the knee length, okay. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'll make use of 1.5. Okay, so what we're going to do is measure what we have on the hip, which is 11 inches, and we're going to subtract 1.5 inches from that, okay, and that will give us 9.5. Okay, so I'll go ahead and mark my 9.5 inches on the knee line, and I'll repeat the same marking on the hem of the skirt. Okay, so this is my 9.5 inches. Now I'll go ahead and connect these together. Okay, and here we have it. Now we're going to blend every sharp point, okay, because our body is not sharp. All right, so we're going to blend every sharp point. So, and here we have it for the front. All right, now let's move over to the back. Now remember that for the front, we came in here on the knee line by 1.5 inches. Okay, so for the back, we're going to share that 1.5 inches into 2, and that will give us 0.75, 0.75. Okay, but the easiest way I like to do that is to transfer our hip round, okay, to the knee line. And what we have here, our hip round divided by 4 is 11. So I'll come to the knee line, okay, and I'll mark the 11 inches. Okay, this is the simplest way I like to do this. Now remember, we are dividing 1.5 into 2. Okay, so I'll come in here from the center back line, I'll mark 0.75. I'll come in here from that 11 inches mark that we have here, and I'm coming inside, okay. I'll come here and mark my 0.75. all right, and I'll go ahead and connect these marks. Okay, so I'll connect the 0.5 on the side back, then I'll connect from here to the hip line. Okay, and here we have it. Now I'll repeat the same thing at the hem of the skirt. I'll first measure the 11 inches. Okay, then I'll come in here as well by 0.75, come in here, okay, by 0.75, then I'll connect it. Okay, like so. Okay, it's that simple. All right, now we're almost done with the skirt block. Okay, so the next thing we need to do now is to mark our dart. Okay, so we're starting with the front. Now remember, our bust span is 8 inches. Okay, and 8 inches divided by 2 is 4. So we're also doing the same thing. So from the center front, we'll come in here by 4 inches. Okay, then from the hip line as well, this is standard. From the hip line, you go up by 2 inches, okay, for your dart, and you also measure your 4 inches at that point to be sure that you're getting a straight line. All right, so, and here we have it. Now our dart allowance is 1 inch, so we're dividing that 1 inch into 2, which is ½ inch on both sides. So I'll go ahead and connect it. So this is the skirt dart, okay, like so. And here we have it. Now the skirt dart is ready for the front. We're going to repeat the same thing on the back. Okay, so we're doing the same thing on the back of the skirt. So you're placing your tape from the center back line inwards, and you mark your 4 inches. So we're placing your tape from the 0.5 tightening that we did at the back, okay, inwards, and you mark your 4 inches. We're repeating the same thing here, okay, but at this point on the hip line we're also going up by 2 inches. Okay, now remember what I told us: to be sure that you're working with a straight line, you measure from the 4 inches we marked to the center back of the skirt. What we have there is 4.5. We'll repeat the same thing here. Okay, this is 4.5, and I'll come in with my ruler and I'll connect to form a straight line. Okay, now our data allowance is 1 inch. We're also dividing it into 2. That's ½ inch on both sides. Okay, so I'll come in with my ruler and I'll connect. Okay, and here we have it. The back dart is ready. All right, so it's time for us to separate these two patterns. All right, so we'll go ahead now and cut. So here we have it. Our skirt block is ready. Our skirt block is ready. This is the front and this is the back. Okay, now for the back of my skirt, I like to sew my dart on the main fabric and on the lining as well. Just the back dart. Okay, so the back skirt is ready, and we'll go ahead now and cut it out. So it's best we label at this point so that we don't get confused. Now this is the side back. Okay, so this is the center back of the skirt. Okay, so we need to do this labeling now so that we don't get confused. Let's also label the front. So this is the center front of the skirt. Okay, and this is the side front of the skirt. Okay, so let's go ahead and complete the cutting for the back. Okay, so this is it for the back. Now let's keep this aside and finish up with the front skirt. Okay, so this is the front of the skirt. Now a very important thing that we need to eliminate is the bulge. You know, this folding, okay, that appears at the center front of the skirt. So we need to eliminate that, and to do that you need to come down from the waistline by 1.5 inches. Okay, so it's ranging between 1 inch to 1.5. Okay, but I like to make use of 1.5 inches. Okay, now we will connect from the waist, okay, from the side of the waist to the center front, okay, like so. So see the way I'm placing my curve, because you don't need too much curve around there. But before we do this, I like to close the dart. Okay, now okay, so before we do this, I like to close my dart. Now I don't like sewing my darts in the front. Okay, so I like to close it. So, and to close your dart is simple. You raise one of the dart legs up. You can see what I'm doing. Just try and raise it up along that marked line like so, and you place it on the second dart leg this way. Okay, so this is it. Now I'll come in with my tape and we'll permanently close that line. Now if you want to stitch down your darts in the front, is okay, but I like to close the darts in the front. Okay, now I know what will be going on in your mind is, if we're closing the darts in the front, why did we now add it? Now this contributes to the fitting of the skirt. Okay, maybe after this class you can try and make your skirt without any form of that. Okay, and you will see the difference in the fitting. Okay, so I'll come in with my tape like so, and I'll close the dart permanently, because I will not be making any use, I will not be stitching it down on the fabric. Now when you close your dart, you will notice a little bit of puff around the hip area. This is normal. Okay, I'll show us how to go about it, okay, when transferring to the fabric. Okay, so now that we have closed the dart, let's now go ahead to shape the center front. Okay, like so, because we don't need too much curve around that point. Okay, so we're shaping it this way. Okay, and here we have it. Now I'll go ahead now and cut my skirt. Okay, so we're actually done with this front skirt block. So we'll go ahead now and cut. Okay, now all right, and here we have it. Our skirt is ready. Center front, this is the waistline of the skirt, and this is the side front of the skirt. Okay, so this is it, but I like to introduce us to something I do on the center back of my skirt. Okay, so this is the center, this is the back pattern of the skirt. Okay, now I don't know, you guys must have noticed some skirts that fit perfectly well at the back. Now the reason is because the hip line, okay, they did a little bit of slash and spread. Okay, slash is S-L-A-S-H. Okay, slash and spread. All right, so I'm going to introduce us to that. Is nothing difficult. Okay, so it's super easy. Permit me to turn the skirt this way. Now I'm going to cut, this is the hip line of the skirt, remember, so let me label it. So this is the hip line of the skirt. Okay, and you remember that this is the center back. The center back is where the side where we are fixing the zip. Okay, so I'm going to cut this hip line like so. Okay, so I'm going to cut, but I will not cut through. That simply means I'm not going to separate these two pieces. Okay, so I'll cut and I'll leave just a tiny thing to hold the two of them together. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, so this is it now. Now to spread, you can spread it maybe with 1 inch or 1.5. Okay, but if the person's bum or bum is actually pronounced, maybe you can go 2 inches. Okay, but but to be minimal. All right, back to class. Okay, so for a minimal shaping, I like to do 1 inch. Okay, or even 0.75 if the person is actually slim. All right, so I'm going to get another paper and place underneath here. Okay, and I'll show us how to put this back together. Okay, so I have another paper now. I'm going to give us some tips on how to do this perfectly well. So first thing first, I'll slip the paper underneath. Okay, you try to be careful so that the two pieces, so that the pattern does not cut entirely. Okay, now tip number 2, ensure that the lower part of the skirt is flat and straight. Okay, the only part we are moving is the up part, okay, and not the lower part. All right, so I'll use our scissors to hold this down. Okay, so the only part we are moving is this top part, okay, and not the lower part. So ensure that the lower part is firm. Now the first thing I like to do is to get my tape, okay, and hold the lower part down. Okay, so back to our skirt. Now I have taped the lower part of the skirt down. Okay, so it's not moving anymore. The only part we have moving is the top part. Okay, now remember I told us that we're going to be spreading with 1 inch. Okay, so from the lower part we're going to measure 1 inch upward, like so. Okay, and just make a mark there. Now we'll bring this top part of the skirt to rest on that 1 inch mark. Okay, like so. Can you see now? Okay, so this is it. I'll come in with my tape and I will tape this down. Okay, so it doesn't move again. Okay, so here we have it. This is our skirt now. All right, so the next thing we need to do is to measure the midpoint. Remember we came in here by 1 inch. Okay, this is 1 inch, so the midpoint of it is half. Then we'll come in with our ruler and we're connecting this midpoint to our side hip line. Okay, like so. Now note that this is optional. You can leave your skirt the way it was originally, okay, but this will help to bring out your shape. Okay, so this is it. Then I'll come in with my curve ruler and I'll try and blend that side, okay, so that we will have a nice curve. All right, so this is what we have. Then I'll go ahead and cut out. Okay, so this is our new center back. All right, so this is it. Now let me tell us the effect. When you wear this skirt, when we're done making it, this area is going to bulge and it's normal. So when you wear it, this area is going to fit into your bum, okay, so it will be perfect on you. All right, so our skirt patterns are ready. So this is our back. So this is our back skirt block. This is the back. All right, and this is the front. Okay, now we'll go ahead and transfer this to the fabric, okay, and we will cut. Okay, I know you'll be wondering if they are going to match. This is the side front and this is the side back. Okay, so they are the same. All right, so we're going to transfer this to a fabric and we'll cut it out. Okay, so this is the fabric that we're going to be working with, okay, for the skirt. Now we'll go ahead and I'll fold this, okay, and I'll place our patterns, then show us how to add allowances.